Well, I seem to be recording on somewhere, somehow. Whether it can keep up with my uh, talking, I don't know. But in any event, I guess I have to make an apology for an error that I've carried with me for some time and have followed by way of a means of achieving restructuring of government through participatory democracy in a simple and structured way, and I have been blocked at every turn. Now, the problem is that restructuring of government now has been taken over by big money, and efforts of people like myself are now running into something that Orwell um, warned about, the way history has changed. And currently, what we're looking at is BC elections, which are technically a non-partisan group, are entirely supporting partisan governance. In other words, governance not by the common people at large through a direct democracy, which they should be engineering, but through an autocracy which relies on violence to sustain its system of order. And of course, that is everywhere in the world conditioned for rebellion. And everywhere in the world, this condition for rebellion has been encouraged because it's a good way to cut down on the breeding male population and thus follow the purposes of the eugenics people, who by very nature are committed to reducing the world's population to what they see from their greedy castles and idle ivory towers, threat by the proletariat, the commons, and thus they bring about rebellion, civil wars, internal strife, and where that is no longer possible, they infiltrate good people and set them against regimes which are not indeed replaced by anything more than bigger bullies. The United States has lost any legitimacy of leadership in the world by the continued hypocrisy of the current president. And I suppose that could be said of all presidents going back into history, where honest information of overseas colonial empires being set up not in the interests even of the well-being of the people living on the land of North America, but of a few who become immensely rich, immensely greedy, and then immensely driven by their families to sustain the status quo at all costs. It is time for change, and change will come. It'll come in a healthy way. It'll come as a result of a voice from the West being heard. I am one voice, in the West from the East with the name of West. So I don't quite fit the biblical model. In any event, I've always understood that when the West, quote, unquote, is speaking, it was referring to, what should we say, the Western Bloc, the European, Anglo-Saxon, Anglo-American, Anglo-Spanish, Anglo whatever, but the domination of the old grandmother of Threadneedle Street, who, wicked witch that she is not ready yet to admit the truth that there is a huge capital potential for the forgiveness of all debt and return to integrity in Canada by the lawyers in Canada, swearing an oath, not to the Queen, not even to the people of Canada, for that is mere patriotism, but to the Creator, that their role will be to uphold not just law, but lore, common sense. And every child over the age of 12, in my view, could very well be introduced and understand the nature of common sense when we get over the dirty tricks and meanness of selfishness and greed. We're all God's children. God, for many people, is a puzzle or an anathema or not good to hear about or whatever. I just translate it as the grand or glorious order divine, where the order is the order of the nature of the relationship between a Holy Mother, our Son, and a Holy Father, this earth, or a Holy Father, his Son, and a Holy Mother, this earth. I think that we are becoming an intelligent species as we recognize our place in the galaxy. Goodness will prevail. And I'm not writing any movies about more pain. We can transcend this now. Very interesting. Very interesting, but not conclusive.